sometimes dealing with the subconscious isn't necessarily enough, or you may want to free yourself from the fear before, the work that you're doing on yourself has had time to kick in which case we actually do need to work with the conscious mind to rationalise. I've got one question for you, Dr. Pepper style. What's the worst that can happen? So we see this on a daily basis, and we see this on a more global basis. So let's micro this initially. So let's say that you're trying to achieve a goal, and as part of that goal you've got a small list of to-dos, and on that list of to-dos there is pretty much inevitably for me, and probably for you too, that task. You know that task, the one you don't want to do. Now, it might not have been a big deal initially. You might have let time go past and it's gone from being a small baby elephant in the room to being a giant, big, multicoloured Elmer type elephant in the room. Or it's someone you don't want to talk to because you're worried about what they're going to say. Or you think, if I do this, this might happen. So you don't do it. And what tends to happen, if you're anything like me, the longer you leave it, the worse it gets, the worse the ramifications get. And then it gets to the point that you don't do it at all. And then things get really quite bad. Sorry, my hair's gone. Very, very odd. So, how do you make yourself do it? Assess. What's the worst that could happen? So, for example, if I've got someone I want to ring, let's say I need to call someone about an invoice that's outstanding, and I'm worried that they're going to turn around and give me a hard time about the invoice that they haven't paid. Well, that's completely stupid. It's their problem, not my problem. So that's the first thing to get your head around. The second thing is, what's the worst that could happen? I could ring them up and they could say, well, I haven't paid you the invoice because actually I think you're rubbish. Right? That's the worst case scenario. Well, I am a big girl and I can cope with that. And I know I'm not rubbish. My subconscious, however, may have been programmed at some point to think that I am. And that's actually, what you need to do is say, look, what's the worst that can happen? Can I cope with that? Let's just do it. Because, by the way, if that task is on your list and that task doesn't get done, you're not going to concentrate on anything else that day. You're just going to be completely and utterly consumed subconsciously with, I haven't done this, I've got to do this, if I call them, what's going to happen? Just do it. Can you recognise lots of these expressions have actually been picked up by major brands? Just do it. Nike. What's the worst that could happen? Dr. Pepper. So, understand that there's an element of success behind these mindsets. It's the kind of feel the fear and do it anyway. Yeah, feel the fear and do it anyway, but understand that half of the fear is just rubbish. We exist and prolong fear because we think by doing that, we are going to, in some way, avert it. We don't. We just increase it. Now, another thing to understand about the conscious and the subconscious mind, people generally, we like to exist in extremes. We like to exist in an extreme of elation, euphoria, or complete flipping misery. This is one of the other reasons. It gives us an adrenaline boost. If there's nothing good going on, but you've got some negative stuff going on, we tend to latch on to the negative stuff because in some weird way it validates us. Because we like that extreme. It's like being scared on a roller coaster. You get an adrenaline rush, whether it's good or whether it's bad. So just, be aware that by putting things off, by being scared of these things, you're not doing yourself any favours. Just get rid of them, eliminate them, because then you create room for the good stuff. Then good stuff can come into your life, into your work, into your heart, into whatever it might be. Are you having problems with your partner right now? Talk to them about it. What's the worst that can happen? Can it get any worse? Maybe. If it gets worse, maybe it's telling you something. There's no such thing as standing still. And if we force things to stand still and we stop change because we're scared, we stagnate. And that is a change in itself. And it's a change that we don't control. So I hope that helps a little bit. I think the thought to take away from this video is, what's the worst that can happen? Do it anyway. Just do it. And every time you see Dr. Pepper's and every time you see the Nike symbol, hopefully it'll jog your memory that you shouldn't be putting these things off. Oh, and by the way, in my past life before I realised this, I was the worst procrastinator in the world. And occasionally I still fall into that. Have a lovely day.